So, you want to be a barber. It sounds like the safest bet in the entire economy. No app can cut hair, no algorithm can give you a fade. Every head in your city needs a haircut every few weeks, forever, and the only way to get one is to sit in a chair and let another human being do it. Your uncle tells you it is a six-figure skill. Social media shows you barbers with booked-out schedules, designer sneakers, and a chair that never stays empty. The Bureau of Labor Statistics will even tell you the demand is growing faster than average. All of that is true, and none of it is the business. There is a number that decides whether cutting hair makes you a living or slowly bleeds you. It is not the price of the haircut. It is not your talent. It is not how fast you are. It is about $250. That is what a single chair in someone else's shop costs per week in most American cities right now. Not per month, per week. Before you have cut a single head, before you have bought a blade, before you have paid $1 of tax, you owe the rent on the chair. This is the story of the $250 chair. Why the person with the most talent in the room often earns the least, and why the quietest guy in the shop, the one who has not picked up clippers in a year, is the one getting rich. Start at the beginning, because the first thing this career sells you is time. You cannot just be good, you have to be licensed. Every state in the country requires a barbering license, and getting one means completing a state-approved program of anywhere from 750 hours in Vermont to 1,800 hours in Michigan. The most common requirement is 1,000 to 1,500 hours. That is not a semester. A full-time student needs 10 to 12 months to finish. A part-timer, someone working a job while learning, needs a year and a half, and it is not free. Community college programs run $3,000 to $8,000. Private barber academies run $8,000 to $20,000. The fashionable schools, the ones with the good Instagram pages and the celebrity guest instructors, charge up to $25,000. Add tools, books, exam fees, and the license itself, and the all-in price of permission to cut hair sits somewhere between about $4,500 and $29,000, depending on which door you walk through. So before you have earned your first dollar from a paying customer, you have spent a year of your life and possibly $25,000 learning to do something people have done with a razor for 5,000 years. The government calls this consumer protection. And to be fair, you are holding a blade against a stranger's neck. But notice what else it does. It means the barber starts the race a year late and tens of thousands of dollars behind, while the person who owns the building started with neither of those problems. Keep that in mind. It comes back. Now the good news, because there is real good news. Once you are licensed, you are walking into one of the most durable markets that exists. Hair grows. It grows on everybody, it never stops, and the work cannot be offshored, automated, or downloaded. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects employment of barbers to keep growing, with tens of thousands of openings every year, and most of those openings exist because barbers keep leaving the trade, which tells you something we will get to. The average man in America gets a haircut every 3 to 4 weeks. The average price of a standard men's haircut in 2026 is around $43 nationally, anywhere from $18 at a budget chain to $100 and up at a high-end shop. Call it $40 with a tip on top in a typical neighborhood shop. Run the fantasy math that every new barber runs. 10 clients a day, $40 each, 5 days a week. That is $2,000 a week. That is over $100,000 a year. You have seen barbers on social media living exactly that life, and you can cut. Here is what that math leaves out. First, the $100,000 is not yours. Depending on how you work, somewhere between 40 and 100% of every ticket goes to someone else. We will get to that. Second, and this is the one that quietly breaks most people, 10 clients a day is not a schedule. It is an achievement that takes years to build, and for the first year or two, it does not exist. A new barber in a new shop has no clients. None. The day is not 10 haircuts. The day is 2 walk-ins at 11, 1 at 4, and 6 hours of sitting in your chair pretending to clean your station so nobody sees you doing nothing. Every barber you have ever envied went through a version of this. The industry calls it building a book. What it means in practice is 1 to 3 years of earning less than minimum wage while you convert strangers into regulars, one haircut at a time. The math of a book is brutal and simple. One happy regular who comes back every 3 weeks is worth about 17 haircuts a year. To fill a chair, you need roughly 150 of them, and you cannot buy them. You earn them one at a time, and every single one can leave for the new shop that opened across the street, and some of them will. So the first hidden cost of this career is not money. It is a year or two of your life spent being paid like a failure while working like a professional. Now, when you finally start earning, you discover that the word earning needs an asterisk, because in this industry, the shop takes its piece first. and the way it takes that piece decides everything about your life. There are two models, and every barber in America works under one of them. Model 1 is commission. You work in someone else's shop, they bring the walk-ins, they take the payments, they own the products, and they pay you a percentage of every service. The standard split is 40 to 60% to the barber, with 60 being the generous end. Work through it. A $40 haircut at 60% puts $24 in your column. That same $2,000 week, the fantasy week, now pays you $1,200. It is still real money, but you are no longer running a business. You are a piece of equipment in someone else's, a very skilled, very replaceable piece. Model 2 is booth rent, and this is where the $250 comes in. The shop stops being your employer and becomes your landlord. You rent the chair, weekly or monthly, and in most markets right now that runs $150 to $400 a week, with $250 a very ordinary number in a decent shop in a decent city. Everything you earn above the rent is yours, all of it. Which is exactly why every ambitious barber eventually goes this way, and also why it ruins so many of them. Because the rent is not a percentage, it is not flexible, it is due on Friday whether you cut 40 heads or 4, whether you are sick, whether it is the slow week after Christmas when the entire city has already had its haircut, whether the shop across the street just started doing $20 fades. The landlord does not share your bad week. The landlord's income is your expense. That inversion, where the person with the least skill in the transaction has the most secure income in it, is the central fact of this entire industry. Hold on to it. And booth rent is only the first line on the bill. You are now in the eyes of the government, a small business. Nobody withholds your taxes, so you pay self-employment tax, the full 15.3%, on top of income tax. Card readers take roughly 3% of every card payment, and in 2026, almost every payment is a card. Booking software like the apps your clients expect you to have runs about $100 to $150 a month. Marketing, because now nobody sends you walk-ins, runs another $150 to $250. Clippers, blades, guards, razors, capes, disinfectant, the consumables of the trade, another $150 to $200 a month. Added up honestly, and a booth renter grossing $8,000 or $9,000 a month in services is carrying $2,000 to $3,000 a month of overhead before paying themselves anything. The chair looked like freedom. It was a lease. The same number, by the way, explains the strangest sight in any barbershop, the empty chair. Every shop has one. The shop owner is not failing to rent it out of laziness. The empty chair is the income stream that quit. It represents a barber who discovered they were paying for the privilege of sitting alone and stopped. 1 in 5 small businesses in America fails in its first year. By year 5, about half are gone. Booth renting barbers are not counted separately in those statistics, but talk to shop owners and they will tell you the chair turnover is constant. The chairs stay, the barbers rotate through them. There is one more cost category that never appears in the social media version of this job, and it is the one that ends careers: your body. A barber works standing, not walking around standing, planted in one spot standing, shoulders raised, wrists angled, 8 to 10 hours a day. Ask older barbers what the job did to them and you will hear the same list: back, knees, shoulders, wrists. Carpal tunnel is common enough in the trade that it is practically an occupational milestone. This creates a trap with no good exit. Your income is your hours. There is no way to scale a haircut. You cannot cut 2 heads at once. You cannot sell the same fade twice. When your back goes, your revenue goes with it, on the same day, at the same speed. An employee gets sick pay. A software worker with a bad back gets an ergonomic chair. A barber with a bad back gets a smaller book, because the clients who wait 3 weeks for you will not wait 6. And underneath all of this sits the quiet insecurity of the whole arrangement. A booth renter's entire career can fit in a gym bag. The clients are not yours in any legal sense. They are loyal to you right up until your shop owner raises the rent and you move across town, and then you find out which ones were loyal to you and which ones were loyal to a 10-minute drive. Every barber who has moved shops knows the number. You keep maybe half your book through a move. Half of your income, built over years, can evaporate in a single signature on a new lease. Now step back and look at who actually makes money in this business, because it is almost never who the customer thinks. The customer thinks the money is in the haircut. The haircut is the worst paid part of the building. Watch where the real margins are. The owner renting out 4 chairs at $250 a week collects $1,000 a week, every week, whether any client walks in or not. That is over $50,000 a year of nearly passive income off other people's labor before the owner has cut a single head themselves. Many owners do not cut at all anymore. Then there is retail. That pomade on the shelf by the mirror costs the shop $8 and sells for $22. No rent, no tax on labor, no back pain, no booking app. The shop makes more profit per minute selling you a tin of pomade than the barber makes per minute cutting your hair, and the barber is the one who convinced you to buy it. Then there is the product line. The barber with 300,000 followers is not rich from haircuts. Nobody is rich from haircuts. The haircuts are content. The money is the Clipper sponsorship, the online course teaching fades at $200 a student, the branded product line, the masterclass tour. The chair is a stage, and at the very top, there is the education business. Remember the $25,000 school at the start of this story. The state requires every new barber to buy those hours from someone. The schools that sell them collect $15,000 to $25,000 per student per year in a market where the government itself guarantees fresh demand forever. Notice the pattern. At every level of this industry, the real money flows toward the person who sells things to barbers, not the person who cuts hair. The landlord, the school, the product company, the course creator, the booking app. The barber is not the business, the barber is the customer. Is this fixable? For the individual barber, partially, yes. The barbers who genuinely do well in this trade share a small set of habits. They pick a chair in a busy shop and they stay in it because every move costs half a book. They rebook every client before the client leaves the chair because a rebooked client cannot be stolen. They raise their prices on schedule $1 or $2 a year instead of waiting 5 years and losing their nerve. They treat tips and taxes as separate money the day it arrives, not in April. And the smart ones build something next to the chair, content, a product, a teaching sideline, so that their back stops being the only asset they have. A barber who does all of that, in a decent market with years of discipline, can build a genuinely good life. 60, 80, 100,000 a year is real, and the top of the trade goes well past it. It is one of the last careers where a person with no degree, no connections, and no capital beyond a toolbox can reach the middle class on skill alone. That is not nothing. That is actually rare, and it deserves respect. But understand what it costs. A year and up to $25,000 before the first dollar. 1 to 3 years earning nothing while you build a book. A weekly rent that never sleeps. Taxes nobody withholds. A body that bills you for every hour. And the knowledge that your entire livelihood is a bag of tools and the goodwill of 150 people who can leave whenever a closer shop opens. So is becoming a barber worth it? As a craft, almost uniquely, yes. Recessions do not stop hair. Pandemics only paused it. No technology on any horizon changes the fact that somebody has to stand behind you with the clippers. If you can endure the first 3 years, you own something almost nobody in the modern economy owns. Demand that is literally growing on your customers' heads. But the version you were sold, the fast money, the booked out chair in year 1, the 6 figures by 25, that version belongs to the social media barber, and his income is not the haircuts. It is you watching. The haircut is 20 minutes of work. The career is everything that happens in the chair before anyone sits in it. Every other business in the economy has a machine that makes the money. The restaurant has a kitchen. The trucking company has a truck. The software company has servers. Here, the machine is a human spine, a pair of wrists, and a reputation that lives in other people's heads. And it depreciates exactly like the Uber driver's car, just slower and with no way to trade it in. Next time you sit in the chair and your barber finishes the fade and turns the mirror around, and the price on the little card reader comes up, remember what that number has to feed. The shop's rent, the government's 15%, the card company's 3%, the blades, the booking app, and a body that has been standing since 9 in the morning. That is the $250 chair. The client never sees it. The shop collects it either way. The barber pays for it every single week.